Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
I'm Sheriff T.K. Waters. This is a critical incident community briefing by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Our agency has prepared this briefing consistent with this administration's commitment to openness and transparency to the public that we serve. Now, the Chief of Professional Standards will deliver the currently available information pertaining to this critical incident.
I'm Chris Brown, the Chief of Professional Standards for the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Today we're releasing information regarding an officer-involved shooting that occurred in the 1100 block of Park Avenue in Orange Park, Florida on May 19, 2023. This information will provide you with a better understanding of what happened, as well as what was known to law enforcement prior to the incident. It is important to remember that when investigating an incident like this, detectives must often interview numerous witnesses, review many hours of video footage, and analyze a significant amount of forensic evidence. With these investigations often taking up to a year or more to complete, we are still at the very early stages of this investigation. Our understanding of this incident may change as additional evidence is collected and reviewed. We do not draw any conclusions regarding whether the officers acted appropriately with respect to the law or JSO policy until all the facts are known and the investigation is completed. A word of caution. The images and information that will be presented may be graphic. When a police officer uses force to arrest someone or to defend against an attack, it can be disturbing and difficult to watch. Viewer discretion is advised. This officer-involved shooting resulted in the death of Zonchez Delarfette Prince. Prince was 39 years old at the time of his death. When this incident occurred, Prince had an active arrest warrant for first-degree murder with a firearm issued by a Broward County Circuit Court judge. Due to Marsy's Law, which prevents law enforcement agencies from disclosing the identity of victims, JSO is not identifying the officers involved. On May 12, 2023, the Broward County Sheriff's Office began investigating a murder that occurred in their county. As part of that investigation, JSO assisted by serving search warrants on a residence and a vehicle located within Duval County. On May 18, 2023, the Broward County Sheriff's Office obtained a warrant for Prince's arrest for first-degree murder with a firearm. Prince and his brother planned to murder an individual named Jazzy Johnson. On May 12, 2023, Prince, who was armed with a firearm, approached Johnson and the deceased victim. Johnson and the victim fled in separate directions. Prince and another suspect chased and shot at the victim, striking and killing him. Once the warrant was issued, the Broward County Sheriff's Office requested the assistance of JSO in locating Prince, a Duval County resident, to serve the arrest warrant on him. On May 19, 2023, shortly before 6 p.m., members of the JSO SWAT team located Prince and followed him to a parking lot in the 1100 block of Park Avenue, just beyond the Duval County line in Clay County, Florida. Due to an interagency agreement in place, JSO officers can travel into neighboring counties, such as Clay County, in pursuit of a suspect with an active arrest warrant. After Prince pulled his vehicle into a parking space, members of the SWAT team parked their truck behind his car to prevent him from fleeing. With Prince's car being blocked in, officers surrounded his vehicle with their service weapons drawn and announced to Prince that there was a warrant for his arrest. He was given numerous verbal commands to exit his vehicle, but Prince refused to comply and instead told them that they would have to kill him. While officers continued to order Prince to exit his vehicle, Prince pulled a firearm and pointed it at one of the officers through his open driver's seat window. At that time, two of the officers fired their weapons at Prince. Officers then approached the vehicle, removed Prince's firearm from the immediate vicinity, and provided initial medical care to him. Due to the extent of his injuries, Prince died at the scene. The following is a portion of body-worn camera footage captured by one of the officers who was present during the shooting. You will hear this officer identify himself as a law enforcement officer and inform Prince that there was an outstanding warrant for his arrest. You also will hear officers give Prince commands to both exit the vehicle and keep his hands visible. You will then hear the officer shooting at Prince, and you will see the tactical vehicle block used to prevent Prince's vehicle from fleeing.
nothing wrong with your audio. It is in buffer mode right now.
Sheriff's office. Step out. Step out. You have a warrant for your arrest. Step out. No, bro. Keep your hands where we can see them. No, bro. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Show me on a signal 13 on 1177 Blanding Boulevard. Hey, clear. All right.
Next, you will see a portion of body-worn camera footage captured by the officer who was a passenger in the truck that blocked Prince's car. This officer is one of the two officers who shot Prince. This officer initially approaches Prince's car on the passenger side and then moves to a position at the front driver's side of Prince's car. You will hear officers give verbal commands to Prince, directing him to step out of the vehicle and show his hands. While officers give commands to Prince, you will hear Prince respond, "Just shoot me, man." Next, you will hear officers continue to give commands to Prince, and then we'll see and hear this officer shoot at Prince. Immediately after the shooting, the officers approach the vehicle, remove Prince's firearm, and then discuss providing medical care for Prince.
Again, nothing wrong with audio. It's just in a buffer mode for the camera.
Forget your cameras.
Hey, I'm gonna get on your side. Hey,
We're in the crossfire right now.
with nothing in your hands. I'm coming to you. Step out of the vehicle right now with nothing in your hands. No, bro, keep your hands up. Keep your hands up.
We're not going to shoot you. Step out of the car.
13 on 11
Step out of the car. Show us your hands, sir.
Hey, clear. All right. Everybody, BC's on.
Everybody's BC's on. Anybody else in the car?
All right, let me clear.
Yep. Moving with you.
All right. All right, guns out of the hands.
All right.
Guns out. I feel pretty confident. You guys good?
Vehicle's clear.
All right. Do we need to do any medical on them?
Hey, let's start medical.
Can you call the dispatch? All
Hey,
right.
stay lethal for me, but
I got
all right, good. What's that?
The gun's right on his
I
hand.
got the zero right here.
All right.
That 1911 style gun. I'm gonna need one more body.
Let's get some gloves on. Let's get some
yeah.
gloves on.
Finally, you will see a portion of body-worn camera footage captured by the other shooting officer, who is the driver in the vehicle that blocked Prince's car. This officer initially approaches Prince's car on the driver's side, briefly returns to his own truck, and then returns to Prince's car. You will see and hear the officer shoot at Prince. Because this officer activated his body-worn camera after the shooting, there is no audio for the first part of the video, as it was recorded within the 30-second sound buffer. After the shooting, you will see and hear officers approach Prince's car, remove his firearm, and begin discussions regarding his medical care. Because of how this officer's chest and arms were positioned before and during the shooting, you will not see Prince's firearm until after the shooting.
Oh, BC's on. BC's on.
Yep.
All right, BC on.
Everybody else in the car.
All right, let me clear it. Let me clear it.
Yep. Moving with you. Moving with you. Moving with you. Moving with
All right. All right, guns out of the hands.
All right.
Guns out. I feel pretty confident. You guys good?
Vehicle's clear.
All right.
All right.
Need to do any medical on him?
Hey, let's start medical.
Can you call?
Medical, I'm working down right now.
Hey, stay lethal for me, but all right, good. Where's that 0?
The gun's right on his hand.
I got the 0 right here.
All right.
Got a 1911 style gun. I'm gonna need one more body
Let's
to
get gloves on.
let's get gloves on.
Prince's firearm was recovered and photographed by crime scene detectives. This 10mm handgun was loaded with 1 round in the firearms chamber and 7 rounds in the magazine. The next step in this investigation involves an independent inquiry and review of the officer's actions by the State Attorney's Office. The State Attorney's Office will decide whether their actions were lawful. After the conclusion of the criminal investigation by the State Attorney's Office, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office will begin administrative investigation into the officer's actions to determine if they were within agency policy. This begins with the convening of a Response to Resistance Review Board, in which the officers are compelled to provide testimony about their actions during the incident. This board will then decide whether they violated any policy during the incident. The determinations made by the board will be submitted to the sheriff for review and a final decision. As stated earlier, JSO does not draw conclusions about the officer's conduct with regards to the law or our policies until the investigation has been completed. On behalf of Sheriff Waters and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, thank you for your time and attention.
Okay, so at the very beginning, they mentioned that due to Marcy's law, they are not going to mention the officers' names. I'm not a big fan of Marcy's law. I think it's kind of stupid, and I think that that is really a way to circumvent open records, and I think it's just, all in all, an overall kind of, I don't want to say shady, but I just don't agree with it. I'll say that. Technically, yes, him pointing the gun at the officers, that's a crime. That makes the officers technically a victim of a crime. And because of that, since they're quote-unquote victims, they're invoking this clause of Marcy's law that says they don't have to be named. It's kind of goofy, I think. Anyway, so this Zonchez Delarfette Prince, almost 40 years old. I think he's got a brother. I'm assuming brother's about the same age. I'm willing to bet, that this guy has been involved in the criminal justice system multiple times before. I highly doubt that this was his first deal with the law. Try to look up a couple of articles to try and find more information on them. It looks like they provided pretty decent amount of information about the crime that they committed. They mentioned in this article that they murdered 32-year-old Andrew Ford of Pompano Beach. That makes me, I feel like I've seen something here recently about Pompano Beach. It might have been the Nashville video that I did, the guy that shot the officer in the ribs. I didn't see anything in this article talking anything about his prior criminal history or anything like that. Looking at the other one, doesn't look like there's anything on there showing. Well, here we go. A search of court records shows no criminal record for Prince in Broward County other than one misdemeanor arrest in 2008 on charges of possession of cannabis and drug paraphernalia. He also had nothing in Clay County and just traffic tickets and a couple of evictions in Duval County from 2010 to 2022. So, all right. Sometimes these criminals, they do get lucky and they just don't get picked up on bigger things. Some of them also get to enjoy the benefits of expungement laws. And there are some entities out there that create these workshops to help people get their records expunged. And so that's probably a good possibility, is that he has gone to some workshops to go through that process of having some of his records expunged. There was an article not too long ago I was reading about the ACLU here in Kentucky, running these expungement workshops up around Frankfort, and free thing for people to come to, didn't cost them a dime. And there was something else where the costs from the courthouse, associated costs with the courthouse, those were either being waived or were being reduced. And I want to say the governor was doing that to help people get their records expunged. I'm not really the biggest fan of these expungement laws, because there are just some people whose records we need to see. We need to see those records. It shows a pattern for these people. It shows who they really are. For example, someone who has had multiple DUIs. A person who's had multiple DUIs throughout the years, who's had alcohol intoxication charges multiple times throughout the years, if they go through the process of having those records expunged, that erases a documentation of showing a pattern of this person being an alcoholic. An employer, say for example a police agency, it would be detrimental if an employer could not detect that or see that and avoid hiring a person who is a habitual drunk. So not the biggest fan of that. Now, is that what's going on with this guy? I don't know. I suspect this probably is. I just not believing that this guy doesn't have any other, kind of serious charges. But it is possible that he does have some more other serious, or it's possible he may not have other serious charges because he got lucky, just never got caught for things. And it's also very likely that he caught some serious charges but was never convicted of those charges because prosecuting office could have been super liberal, didn't want to press the issue, dropped charges on the person, or some of those other things that they mentioned he had, those low little things. Those could have been things that got amended down. He could have been taking plea deals. So just because he pled guilty to cannabis possession or something like that, I forgot what it said. Let me take a look back at it again. Yeah, arrest in 2008 on charges of possession on cannabis and drug paraphernalia. So just because he may have been convicted of that, it doesn't mean that those were the only charges that he was charged with. He could have been charged with other serious things, and then given a plea deal, had those things knocked off, and then went down to a simple, smaller thing, just so the prosecutor could clear the docket and say that they got a guilty conviction on something. Happens all the time, all across the U.S. Alright, enough talking about this shithead. Like I said, would not be surprised if he had a lot of other serious things going on. His brother, by the way, so it's him and his brother who just like executed this guy. His brother was taken into custody during a traffic stop and didn't put up a fight. So they said that JSO SWAT team people were tracking him. How they were tracking him, I suspect probably through his cell phone. Cell phones they're like transponders. They're constantly sending out signals even when you are not holding it and utilizing it. It just sitting there, it is constantly sending out a signal. And it's a way to find you. It literally is. That is how a lot of people get Hellfire missiles fired up their ass overseas in warfare. Cell phones are a deadly thing to be possessing, because they will give you away. And I don't care if you download all these different apps that have encryption and blah blah blah. The fact of the matter is that damn thing is always sending out signals. It's trying to always make contact with a cell tower, and because of that, you can be tracked very easily and very accurately. So I suspect they were probably tracking him through his cell phone, got him narrowed down to where he was, and then pounced. So we saw from the second video where they're basically sitting in this back row in the parking lot. So it looked like they'd been following him for a while. They knew exactly where he was. I think it looked like they had that one truck pull up beside him, park, and then this guy decided to pull in behind him, park behind him, and then another vehicle came in from the side over here. So they did a pretty decent job of blocking this person in, doing it very methodically. They weren't like rushing in or anything like that. These guys were playing chess. They weren't playing checkers. So they were very strategically moving around and putting things in place and then pouncing on this guy. So kind of interesting to see that one working out. Now, starting off, we'll go back. There's not a whole lot you see from the first video, so I'm pretty much going to skip that first video. And we'll go straight into really this one, because we see more from this one in the second or the third video. We see mostly pistols. I don't think I saw one rifle being brought out at all. It's just all pistols at this point. They're dealing with a murder suspect, a guy who has killed someone with a gun. So pretty good chance that this guy could get a wild hair up his ass and decide to shoot it out. This is a high-risk stop. High-risk stop dealing with a guy who has murdered someone with a gun. This means there's an increased likelihood that there could be a gunfight. So if you know you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles. Rifles dominate gunfights. They stop them a lot faster than pistols. Rifles are more accurate, and the terminal ballistics are way better than pistol. I would have liked to have seen some rifles being utilized in this scenario. I think they would have been a whole lot better. Now, when they do first start getting out, these officers, or one of these officers, quickly recognizes the fact that they are now somewhat in a bit of a crossfire scenario, because the officer who was in this truck over here parked to the side, he came around to the hood of the vehicle and was pointing back this way. I don't know what their planning was or anything like that, if they're planning and talking about how they're going to be positioned, but that is something that is important. Ideally, it would have been best, I think, if this officer in this truck over here just would have come to the rear of the truck area and be off to the side a little bit and go from there, versus go all the way to the front and then everyone else over here, and it does create a crossfire type of scenario. But luckily this officer very quickly recognized that, and they began to reposition themselves.
Keep your hands up.
We're not going to shoot you. Step out of the car. Step out of the car. Show us your hands, sir.
Hey, clear. Everybody.
So he had a good, solid two-handed grip on his gun. He's got that red dot on there. I mean, he was smooth with what he was doing. Almost as smooth as what you would see with someone at a shooting range, just plinking holes in a target. This is a guy who is a SWAT team member, or some people say a SWAT operator. That means he has more training under his belt than just a regular patrol person who got their first initial firearms training at the academy and then have very likely not taken anything similar to or better than since then. They've just done, as far as patrol people just do continuing education or in-service training and qualifications, where it just does not replicate anywhere near the same amount, same intensity of training they got when they was at the academy. So when officers get hired, they go to the academy. That's realistically, for the majority of police, the first and last time that they'll ever get really great firearms training. And past that point, all they do is qualifications. Some agencies only do qualifications once a year. Some do them twice a year. Hell, there's some that even do them 4 times a year. And then they'll do in-service training. You know, it's kind of similar to qualification, but it's not a whole week of instruction on firearms. It's not a multi-day thing where they're shooting hundreds of rounds like they did at the academy, because it just costs a lot of money. So lots of police out there. The only good firearms training they've ever had was when they was at the academy. And past that academy, they don't really get much unless they pay out of pocket and go to a school, or they're on a SWAT team, special team, whatever, and they get some additional firearms training. So since this guy is a SWAT guy, he's had more training. He's had more actual firearms training, and he's likely had more force on force training. And it's possible that he is a gun guy. It's possible that he goes and shoots his gun off duty, owns guns, multiple guns, is just a gun guy. And not all police are like that. There are a lot of police out there who are not gun people. There's a lot of police out there who the only time they've ever shot a damn gun was at the academy. There are plenty of cops out there who've never held a gun before they became the police. There's several cops out there who the only reason they have a damn gun is because it was given to them by their employer. And that's the only gun they have. And if they were to quit policing, they wouldn't have a gun past that point, and they'd probably never go get a gun. Hell, there's even some police officers out there who, if you were to give them a choice, they would probably work unarmed. As crazy as it sounds, there's some oddballs out there in the police industry like that. So No idea if this guy's a gun guy or not, but because he is SWAT, I know that he's had more firearms training than just a regular patrol person. Not just firearms training, but also force-on-force training. And you see the payoff right here in this video. Clear as day. He has great performance in what he's doing, and the other officer as well. Very smooth shooting on this. And not just the smooth shooting that we see, but also their smooth actions afterwards. Talking calmly and clearly instead of having elevated voices and acting extremely frantic. These guys are about as cool as the other side of a pillow. And like I said, I firmly believe it's all due to training. They've had a good amount of training to where they've had more hands-on training and more recent, relevant, and realistic training. So let's watch him one more time, then we'll go to the other guy.
Show us your hand, sir.
Hey, clear. All right. Everybody, BC's on, BC's on.
Everybody's BC's on. Anybody else in the car?
All right, let me clear. Yep. Moving with you. All right, guns out of the hands. Guns out. I feel pretty confident.
And, you know, it's also, aside from the training aspect, I think it also has to do a little something about the person themselves as far as how they're wired, their mindset and everything. You've got all kinds of people out there in the police world who wouldn't want to go to the SWAT team. It's just not their cup of tea. There's a lot of people who are cops who, in my opinion, realistically should not be cops. They're just super soft. They don't want to do much of anything. It's just a job to them, just like it's a job to someone who's in accounting or something like that. It's just a job, and they don't take it to the level that I think they need to be taking it to. They're clock in, clock out, do at 8, hit the gate kind of people. Not a whole lot of starting in them. Not a whole lot of pep in their step, etc. SWAT team people, those are going to be people who, they're more at it. They're go-getters. They're definitely more type A personality. They're the ones who, they're the meat eaters, right? They're going to go get into shit. And it's a balance of that kind of mindset, that character, that integrity to go on and want to go do the stuff and have the good training to go along with it. So it's more than just training, because there's plenty of police officers out there who get decent training at the academy. They really do. They get some decent amount of training at the academy, but they're just not. They're not wired the right way. Yeah, they could pass the things. They could jump through the hoops, twirl enough times to pass, but they're still just not wired right.
You guys good? Vehicle's clear.
All right. Do we need to do any medical on him?
Hey, let's start.
So we'll watch this other video. So we see him in the vehicle, and he appears to be readjusting the vehicle, getting it a lot closer. And let me find And a freeze frame of what I'm talking about. I think it's from the first guy here. Maybe not. Maybe it's from the second video.
Get your cameras. We're not going to shoot you. Step out of the car.
So you can see that the gap in between the two vehicles is very short. It has been, the slack has been taken up significantly.
Hands.
There. This is important for not allowing the other vehicle to gain a purchase point. So they pulled up, and I think there was a gap that he noticed, and then he got back in the vehicle to close that gap, which is good thinking. This right here does not allow the suspect vehicle the opportunity to be able to exploit anything. If this vehicle had been parked back a little bit and their bumper was right here, that could have given the suspect vehicle the opportunity to pull forward, cut the wheel, hit reverse, and then smash through this space right here and get out, or smash through that space over there and get out. So when you pull up super close and you kiss the bumpers, they don't have that opportunity to do that. You take their maneuvering room out. You also take away their ability to get momentum to slam and then move the vehicle backwards or away, whatever. So anytime using a vehicle to block another vehicle in, bumper to bumper, that's the best thing to do. Alright, we'll go back into his video.
Oh, BC's on. BC's on.
Yep.
All right, BC on.
Else in the car.
All right, let me clear it. Let me clear it.
Yep. Moving with you. Yep.
So he doesn't have his body camera on for the beginning of this interaction here. Personally, I think that all the cameras should have been on before this right here. Like, they knew they were going to take this guy down, or I mean, not take him down like shoot him like they are right here, but take down, I mean like stop him and take him into custody. They knew they were going to be doing a stop on this guy. They knew they were going to get out. So the camera should have already been on before ever getting out of the vehicles. I think it is important to have that camera on before ever getting out of the vehicle so that it is capturing everything. And if you get in the contact and you got all this stuff going through your head, like trying to save yourself from dying, then you don't have to worry about the camera because it's already on. And if you got a bunch of stuff going on and you're worried about trying to keep yourself alive, you may not activate that camera in time, and it may miss out on capturing exonerating evidence. What if, you know, the verbal commands being given wasn't captured on the audio? What if him saying out loud, "You're going to have to shoot me," that wasn't captured on video? it could allow the opposition to fabricate stories. They could say, well, they never gave him verbal commands. They just rolled up and they're not in regular police uniforms, and he thought that, they were bad guys trying to rob him. Which we all know is bullshit, but that's how the anti-police crowd works. They make up lies, and it's a whole lot easier for them to get away with making up those lies when there's nothing there to contradict what they're making up. So it's super important to always have those cameras on, because the cameras help. They do.
Oh, BC's on. BC's on. All right, BC on. All right, let me clear it. Let me clear it.
Moving with you.
All right.
They've got good communications here. They make contact with this guy. He pulls the gun. Shootout occurs. They go forward, start clearing the vehicle. These guys are right there with them, helping clear it. A lot of goodness in this interaction here. They got a lot of good teamwork going on. Very good, clear communications. The only negative thing I really have to say about this is a lack of rifles. That's really the only negative thing to say about this, is they just didn't get rifles out. The amount of rounds that they fired, had they had rifles, I think that it would have taken less rounds to incapacitate this threat. It would have taken fewer rounds.
All right, guns out of the hands. Guns out. I feel pretty confident. You guys good?
Vehicle's clear.
All right.
All right.
Need to do any medical on him?
Hey, let's start medical.
Can you call?
So they're talking about performing medical on this person, and then they mention about putting gloves on. So super important to be wearing gloves before touching people with blood on them. Anytime you've got anybody who's covered in bodily fluid, you want to have gloves on, because you have no idea what they have, and you have to assume that they have the worst of the worst, especially criminals, repeat offender type of criminals. They are habitually not making very good decisions in life, and so logic would stand that they've probably made a lot of bad decisions in life in regards to unprotected sex with hookers, and sharing needles, stuff like that. So you have to assume that everyone has something, and they have the worst of the worst. They got the AIDS, HIV, hepatitis, whatever. Put those gloves on. Take your time to put those gloves on. Oh well, who cares if that person is laying there bleeding out while you take your time to put gloves on? Your life matters more than theirs. They're the bad people. They're the ones who, like in this case right here, he's the one who went and murdered someone. He's the one who just tried to murder these officers. He brought this shit upon himself. He can sit there and bleed out, as far as I'm concerned. Now, as far as, injuries to him, I would probably suspect he's probably got some headshots in there. That close, and him being positioned the way he was, I'm just pretty confident that the amount of rounds they fired into him, that there's probably at least a round or two in his head. So the medical stuff that they're going to be doing for this guy, I don't think it would have helped him. Even if they had a doctor there, I really don't think that it would have helped at all. Some injuries are just, they're non-recoverable. You just can't do anything about them. The person could have been shot the way they were in the operating room of the best trauma hospital in the world, and there's still nothing that can be done for them. We don't get to see what kind of medical care they give to him or anything like that, but when it comes to medical gear, I do think that medical gear is something that needs to be carried by armed professionals. If you're going to carry a gun for a living, you need to carry medical gear for a living, not just to be using on people that you had to use force against, but to use on you or your coworkers or family who were on the receiving end of that threat. Good guys get hit. It happens. If you carry a gun for a living, that means you recognize you could get into a gunfight. Gunfights involve bullets going both directions. So there is a chance you could get hit. There's a chance that the good guys could get hit. So you need to have medical on you. Aside from that, you should also be having medical in your vehicles. Better trauma kits that can be used to supplement the gear, the minimal amount of gear that you've been carrying on you, or as just basically a whole standalone trauma kit to treat more than one person. The equipment is one part of the equation. The training is the other. So aside from just having the medical equipment, you need to have good training on how to use it. A lot of agencies and a lot of companies will only do CPR, AED, first aid level type of training, and they won't do any type of trauma care or TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care level of training. And that is the level of training that you need to treat things like gunshot wounds, because a basic first aid class is not sufficient enough to cover that type of trauma care. Interesting gun. I don't know. I can't remember if they mentioned if it was stolen or not. I would suspect that it was probably stolen or illegally obtained in some matter. A lot of these street criminals, they don't go to gun stores to buy their guns. Some can because they were just lucky enough not to have gotten a felony, or they had charges amended down and they were never convicted of any felonies. So some do get them from gun stores, but a lot of them do not. They just simply cannot pass a background check. And so the way those people come into possession of guns is they steal them, or they buy them from someone who stole them, or they have family members or friends who don't have felony convictions who will go to a gun store and buy a gun. I would suspect that this is probably a stolen gun. It's a 1911 style kind of handgun. I highly doubt that dude is a 1911 kind of person. If you're a gun person, you know what I mean. 1911 people are kind of like their own breed in a way. And I just don't think that person was in that 1911 club to want to be like, yeah, bro, I'm going to get this 1911. I think it's just one that was available, either because he stole it or he bought it stolen. The guns that do end up getting stolen and used in the streets, those are most often coming from vehicles. People leaving their gun in their center console of their car that doesn't lock, doesn't even have a locking mechanism on it whatsoever, and the criminals are going around and checking door handles and seeing which ones are open, and then they go inside these cars and voila, they come across the guns. Or they break the windows out, get into the cars, easily open the center console, and voila, there's the gun. Or check under the seat, voila, there's the gun. Open the glove box that doesn't have a lock on it, or does have a lock on it but isn't locked, open it, and boom, there's the gun. So you need to take better care of storing your firearms. Even at home, you leave work for the day, you leave your gun at home because you can't take your gun to work. Where's your gun at? Is it on your nightstand, in your nightstand, sitting on the top shelf of your closet, tucked between the mattress? Where is it? How easily accessible is it to a burglar who could be in your home for an hour rummaging around through stuff while you're at work on hour 5 and you still got a few more hours to leave before you can get back home? If you're not going to have your gun on you, then you need to make your gun inaccessible or inoperable to unauthorized people. The best way to do this is to get a gun safe. If you're not going to have the gun on you, secure it in a safe. You can get a safe for your car, a lockbox with a steel cable tether that will anchor to the car seat, and the criminals just can't rip it off and take it with them. Gun owners are their own worst enemy, and the negligent storing of firearms is leading the statistics used by anti-gun people. And it's going to be the ammo used to take our gun rights away. So when you look at these statistics from like Everytown Gun Safety or whatever they're called, the driving force behind those numbers is street level crimes. Thugs shooting at thugs. That kind of stuff. And a lot of them are getting their guns from places where they've been stolen. Those driving numbers, those increasing numbers, are what make up the majority of the overall gun violence statistics. So when these bullshit anti-gun laws are passed that restrict our rights, that infringe upon our rights, you have your fellow gun owners to thank for that. Gun owners are the ones who are going to be responsible for anti-gun laws being created. I'll say that again. Lawful gun owners are going to be the ones who cause anti-gun laws to be passed because of their negligence and their fucking stupidity. You're literally giving the ammo to the anti-gun crowd to come after our guns, to come after our rights. And unfortunately, with the way society's going right now, how soft people are, and how these numbers keep rising, it's true, the numbers are rising. It's just a matter of time, honestly. It's just a matter of time before the rabid left gets their way and they get some type of gun law wet dream. It really is. It's just a matter of time. It's just a few more generations, and it's going to happen. It sucks to think about that. It sucks to see that that's going to be probably what's going to happen, but it's going to. And the lawful gun owners are going to be the reason it happens, because there are some lawful gun owners who just act negligently. And it's interesting too, like when you bring this up, people who have a gun stolen out of their car, and you say something like, you should have locked it up. these fucking knuckle dragging, mouth breathing motherfuckers are like, well, no one should have been breaking into the car. Okay. How about you take your savings account, your checking account, and make a withdrawal and leave it in your passenger seat and walk away. Let's see you do that. Let's see if you keep that same fucking mindset of, well, they shouldn't have been breaking in the cars. Don't be infringing upon my rights. I'll keep my gun in my unlockable console if I want to. Okay. Empty your bank account. Go do a withdrawal. Put all that money in your center console. If you trust your fucking center console that much, go withdraw all the money out of your bank and put it in there. Those people won't do that. It's funny that they will recognize it's not good enough to keep all their money safe, but they think it's good enough for their gun. It makes no sense to me. It really don't. So there's a lot of gun people who are totally stupid, and realistically probably shouldn't even have guns to begin with. And those are the ones who are going to ruin it for everybody. All right. Enough of that ranting. Not much else to say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.